Let's create a vault trap. I'm talking about a trap that is designed to protect the most important vaults in your game, that's capable of challenging and probably even shredding any level of party that tries to get into it. Now you might think I'm being a really mean DM by saying this, but let's face it, there are sometimes areas in the game the players are not meant to go. Don't worry, I'm not just saying we should TPK parties for no reason. I'm going to tell you at the end of this video not only how to scale this trap up and down for any level of party, but also how to handle it if the vault proves too much for them. Let's start with the prep work. The vault's going to be protected by Morning Canaan's Private Sanctum and Hallow. So the players aren't going to be able to teleport in or out, and they're not going to be able to scry inside the vault or really see anything that's going on inside through any means. Next up, we're going to come to the vault doors. They're going to be solid metal. They're going to be locked with a high-grade lock, and we're going to put some kind of mechanical trap on them because we want the players to find something and feel like they've disarmed some of the defenses of this vault. Each door is going to have a glyph of warding on it that's going to contain the spell Bestow Curse. So if the characters notice these and remove them, great. Now they're going to get more confident and feel like they've disarmed the defenses of this vault, which they haven't. If they don't notice it, they're going to get hit with Bestow Curse, and if they fail their save, it's going to cause them to have disadvantage on all of their Constitution checks and saving throws. Now, they may notice the glyph glow when it activates, but I would not tell them what effect is on them because it's not really visible and it's not something they would know. I would just make note of it on the side. Once they get in the vault doors and get inside, they're going to find a 20 by 20 foot room that is filled with treasure. The walls are going to be covered with expensive paintings and tapestries. The floor is going to be layered with expensive rugs, and on top of that is going to be piled just mounds of gold coins and gems and jewels and jewelry. The minute they step inside this vault, they're going to have to make a charisma saving throw against the Hallow spell. If they fail it, they're going to get vulnerability to poison damage. The thing they don't know about this vault is that behind all this artwork and underneath the rugs, there are more glyphs of warding. In fact, we're going to have one glyph of warding on each wall, one on the floor, and one on the ceiling for a total of 6. All of these are going to be spell glyphs, and they're all going to key off of the same trigger. Now, I wouldn't set the trigger to be the minute they step inside the vault because then you're probably only going to catch one person in the party. I would instead have these glyphs trigger when, say, somebody steps into the center of this vault, or maybe when they touch a piece of treasure, which is really devious because in order to find the glyphs, they're going to have to touch the pieces of treasure. The spell glyphs are all going to activate simultaneously when the trigger is met. The first glyph is going to cast Wall of Force, and we're going to choose a hemispherical dome that's going to be 10-foot radius, so it's going to fill the entire room, trapping them inside and not letting them out. If you want to make a slightly larger vault, you could just have it put a vertical wall of force up on the entrance where they came in so they can't get out through that side of the room. The next glyph is going to cast Cloud Kill. Now, if we want to be mean, we can actually have this upcast all the way to 8th level. This means that every round they're going to have to make a Constitution save, and some of them might have disadvantage because of the other glyphs. If they fail, they're going to take 8d8 poison damage. That's already bad enough, but if they've got vulnerability to poison, it's going to be 16d8. And that's not even the worst part of Cloud Kill. The worst part is going to be that it's going to cause heavy obscurement in this vault. That means that unless the players have blind sight, they're going to be completely blind. They can't see anything. That is going to take away a lot of spells that require them to be able to see a target or see an area. It's also going to make them have disadvantage if they have to fight anything in this vault. And they're going to have to fight some things. Because with the other 4 glyphs, we're going to cast Animate Object at 8th level. And what are we going to animate? We're going to animate the treasure. I just think this is so fitting, having characters be attacked by the treasure they were trying to steal. Now, let's say we're animating the gold coins. Animate Object at 8th level is going to animate 16 tiny objects. We're casting it 4 times. That's 64 gold coins that are going to rise up and attack the characters. Why is this so deadly? Well, for starters, being objects, the coins are immune to poison and the poison condition, so Cloud Kill's not going to affect them. They can fly at a speed of 30, and they also have blind sight to 30 feet, so they're going to get advantage on all their attacks against the characters. The characters are going to get disadvantage against them. Each coin is going to attack at +8 with advantage, and it's going to cause 1d4 plus 4 bludgeoning damage when it hits. In case you're doing the math, that's 64d4 plus 256 points of damage per round, plus the poison damage from Cloud Kill. They're going to be blinded and they can't escape. Unless you have an extremely powerful and talented party, this is going to be a chipper shredder for them. Okay, now here's the part where you say, you're being way too mean. This is like a guaranteed TPK for the party. Fair enough. So I'm going to tell you two things. Number one, I'm going to tell you how to scale it down to be a more appropriate challenge for any group. And number two, I'm going to tell you what to do if it does TPK them. To scale it down, there's a lot of things we can do. We can change the glyphs on the vault door to affect their intelligence instead of their constitution. This is going to make it harder for them to find future glyphs or maybe use their arcana skill to figure out what's going on, but it's not going to damage them more. We can take away the vulnerability to poison in the hallowed spell so that they're not stacking even more damage on what they're taking. We could also just cast the Cloud Kill spell at a lower level all the way down to 5th for 5d8 damage. Or if it's a low-level party, we can change it to Fog Cloud. It's still going to give them obscurement and make them blinded and scare the crap out of them, but it's not going to poison them. For the animate object spells, that's easy. We can either just downcast them or we can make less glyphs cast that spell, all the way down to just having one glyph cast it at 5th level and animating 10 coins to attack them. Either way, there's going to be a high likelihood that everyone in the party gets taken down to 0 hit points or less. So how can we handle that and keep the story going so we're not just being cruel and TPKing the group? Well, there's two ways I can think of to handle it. The first is just have all of the attacks do non-lethal damage. So let's say you change it to Fog Cloud so it's not doing poison damage, and then you have the animated coins just do non-lethal damage. If a fighter can choose to do non-lethal damage with their longsword when they attack, why wouldn't a wizard be able to instruct the animated objects when they cast the spell to use non-lethal damage when they attack? The other thing you can do is just raise all the characters from the dead. If the vault owner is powerful enough to make this vault, they are powerful enough to raise every character from the dead. Now you've got a vault owner standing in front of them. The characters are probably stripped of their weapons and tied up, restrained in chairs, and the vault owner is giving them a lecture about stealing other people's property. What are they going to do about this? They're probably going to give the players an ultimatum and say, in return for your life, you now have to perform a service for me. Now you have a quest. The cool thing about doing it this way is the players still have free will. They're going to probably have to say yes in the moment, but once they get outside of the vault owner's presence, they can handle that quest however they want. They could maybe blow it off and say, hell no, we're not doing that, and then they gain a long-term villain that's going to recur in the story. Or maybe they honor the quest and they try to make amends for what they were trying to do. You might make the vault owner become an ally or even a patron.